Part 2. You all, I had to stop recording because they wanted my email confirmation. I'm like, you're kidding me. You all never ask me for that. So anyway, like I was saying, yeah, the mom / grandma moved into number 1 with the guy's brother. Now, you're wondering, well, what's the conflict, Moon? The conflict is that on Friday the 13th, the neighbor with his little boy, adorable little boy, by the way. His name is Diego. Beautiful, beautiful little boy. He looks just like his daddy. But no, I'm not in love with the daddy or anything like that. He's just such an adorable little boy. Anyway, they were playing ball outside, and they hit my car. And so, of course, I went out there because the husband did not want to say anything. And I was like, I told him, I said, sir, your ball just hit my car. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, it's because of the wind. I said, all right. At least he apologized, and no big deal. After that, I was like, no big deal. It didn't do any damage to my car. It was one of those rubbery balls. I'm like, no big deal. Just wanted to let him know, hey, I saw what happened, And ever since then, his mom that just moved in, she's been acting like really creepy around my apartment. She's always passing by like super close to my car. There's a video of her from my Ring camera where she's actually at my door and it looks like she's praying or something. And I'm like, what the hell is she doing, And then there's another video of her where she actually spits in my area of the door. And I'm like, what is her problem? Am I not allowed to say that, hey, you hit my car? What is her deal, So that went on with that. And of course the husband's like, oh, just let it go. It's no big deal. Well, of course he's going to say that. He's never got my back, mind you. Not that I wanted him to say anything to her, but I was just like, don't you find that sus, And he's like, oh, everything's sus to you. And I'm like, you are not for me, are you? Like, just forget it, And then the other neighbor, okay, well, let me back up. Well, yeah, let me just tell you first. The other neighbor, the ones that park next to me, that I've shown on camera many times, but I don't show their faces, I just show their cars. Well, they're usually really nice. They're a very nice couple. They've always said hello to me. I always say hi to them. Once in a while, we'll have a conversation, but a quick one. Not like, hey, how was your day type of deal. It's more like, oh, it looks like it's going to rain, huh? And they're like, yeah, and they're like, better get inside or whatever. They'll say something, and then we'll just like end it. Like, y'all have a good night, bye. That's it, Okay, well, I was near his apartment on Friday the 13th. But I didn't go like straight to his door. I didn't go into his yard. I didn't touch anything. I went over there looking for someone, and I'll get to that in a minute. I went over there looking for someone. They weren't there, and I didn't think they were there, but I checked anyway because the voices were coming from there. So I immediately turned around and came back, and I ran into him, the husband, right? And I was like, oh, hi, and rather than saying hi back, how you doing, what's going on, or something, it was more like he just gives me this ugly look, and he's like, can I help you with something? And I was like, no. And then his eyes got even bigger, like he was ready to attack me, and I'm like, what the hell is his problem? Like, I know this is Friday the 13th, but come on now. And so I said, no, I'm actually looking for my daughter-in-law's husband and child. They came out here, they started playing with Diego and his uncle, and we can't find them, but we hear their voices. So I thought maybe they walked this way by chance. Apparently they didn't. And then he's like, oh, well, there's some people outside the fence, you might want to check there. And I said, all right, thanks. Well, no, actually, I didn't even say thanks. I just said, all right. And I just walked off. And I'm like, what the hell, So the husband and my husband's daughter left, right, with the kids. And I started telling my husband about it. I was like, you know what? I need to appreciate his tone. I was like, he walks around our front door from 1 to 3 o'clock in the morning, looking very, very suspicious. And I got him on camera too, by the way. The Ring Cam, you know? Those are very handy. Mine cost $50 at the Best Buy. Very, very handy. But anyway, and it's not, the subscription for it per year, it's not expensive at all. I forgot what I paid. I think it was like $50 also. I don't remember. But it's not very much, and it's for the year. But anyway, and I need to check on that, by the way. I don't remember when I need to review, not review. So anyway, I told him about that, and I said, I don't tell him anything when he's at our door. And sure enough, that very night, I'm not kidding you, 1 o'clock in the morning, he's out there, and he walks right up to my door, and then walks away. And I'm like, okay, did I freak out? Did I go on my camera and be like, can I help you with something? No, absolutely not. I did not. But I'm like, why is he like that? In fact, his wife on New Year's Day, I happened to catch her trying to get water from our faucet because I stepped out to go pick up a pizza. I was already running late. I had just taken a shower, and I was like, I told my son, I'm going to go get the pizza already because I'm already running late for it. And as soon as I opened the door, I catch her, trying to get water from the faucet. And I just looked at her, but I didn't give her this ugly look or anything. Or like, can I help you with something? What are you doing? She was just like, do you mind if I get water? And I saw that the hood of her car was open. I'm like, no, go ahead, To me, it was no big deal. I could tell what was going on. I could tell she was having car trouble, probably overheating. And I said, no, go ahead. I gotta go. I'm running late. And so I left. By the time I got back, she was already gone. So it's like, no big deal, right? But I'm like, that's how you're neighborly. You're not just going to be attacking people, especially in an apartment complex where people are free to walk around, But I was really, really pissed at that guy, you all. I was really, really pissed that he talked to me in that tone. Come on, car. You're going to have something to curse. What are you doing? Why are you slowing down? So anyway, yeah. So that had me angry. Now, what really put the cherry on top that day was my husband got in on Thursday night. I asked him, hey, call your daughter, see if she can come over with the kids so we can see them sometime this weekend. Except for Saturday. Saturday's our day, right? Valentine's Day. And he's like, no, I know. So he calls her. She's like, oh, we can go on Friday, like around 3. And he's like, okay. And then she's like, what do you want me to take? And we're both like, huh? What do you mean? What does she want to bring, And she's like, yeah, like, so we can eat. And the husband's like, yeah, I guess I can order something, And she didn't get the hit, like, we weren't planning on having lunch or dinner over here, but I guess, Here's the thing. Once he hung up with her, I was like, how dare she? How dare she think that every time that they come over, we're gonna feed her? Why does she have that in her head? We offer to feed them when we can, but it's not every time they come over, And she just assumed. She automatically assumed. And this is the day before Valentine's. This is, money that we were saving to be able to have our Valentine's Day and enjoy it. Moving you all to the shade. And enjoy it. But because of that, we had to go buy, we bought chicken. Chicken is expensive. Fried chicken is expensive. Even though you're thinking, oh, it's just fried chicken to feed the family with 2 large sides. It came out to $60, you all, for everybody. You're talking about feeding her husband, the toddler, which the toddler doesn't even, look, my argument's not even about the toddler, okay, at all. The kids are off hands for me. Like, they can have whatever they want, okay? So long as it's not, an arm and a leg, that's going to cost us. But as far as food-wise, they can have what they want. in my book and in the husband's book. But we had to feed her, her husband, my son, and then us two. That's already 5 adults, okay? And then she says, oh, well, the toddler, and I'm calling him the toddler so we don't give out names here. The toddler likes the chicken tenders from there, not the regular chicken, which is bull. We have bought regular chicken from there before, and he's eaten the drumstick. Now, all of a sudden, oh no, he needs tenders. So, of course, the husband's like, that's fine, you know, I'll get him some tenders. The tenders, the combo that we got him was $8. I kid you not. So, you're talking about the meal of the chicken with 2 sides, the biscuits, tenders, and then I got 2 extra sandwiches for my son, which were like 2 for $4. 2 for $4. It was cheaper than the tenders. $60. We're like, what? So, okay, so we get here, you know, she texts, I found this out later, she texts him and she's like, you all go ahead and eat without us because we're running a little late. We won't be there till 4 instead of 3. I didn't know that she had Texas. If anything, as soon as we got home, we started eating because we were already hungry. Of course, we left, you know, the food for them as well. But I was like, what the hell, you know? And so they finally get here. They're eating. Her husband's eating some of the tenders from the toddler, because apparently now he doesn't like chicken on the bone either. Yeah, that's a first. I knew he didn't like mashed potatoes. So we had gotten the toddler some fries. Well, guess what? He starts eating the fries as well. So I'm standing there watching them eat and I'm thinking, should we have just gotten him a chicken tender meal as well? You know? And I'm like, great, this is just fabulous. So anyway, they eat. You know, that's when we came outside. And, oh no, I think here comes my neighbor. I recognize the umbrella. That's when we came outside. And we had the kids with us. They stayed inside. And then finally the dad comes out. Her husband comes out. And that's when we ran into, oh, she's coming, you all. Hold on, you all. All right, you all. She's going to come by later to say hi again. No need. We just said hello right now. I got to finish cleaning. Anyway, so, yeah. So, by that point, like I was saying, her husband comes out with her toddler. I'm outside with a baby and my husband. We ran into the uncle and Diego, and so the toddlers decide, let's play with a ball. So okay, they started playing, and that's when her husband and the uncle took off with the kids. But we thought they were going to go into that, look, do you all see that white truck? There's a whole field on that side where the tree is. There's a whole field. We thought they went there to go play. Why not? You know, he lives in number 1. That's apartment number 1. So we thought, oh, they're probably just going on the side of the apartment, right? Because we could hear them. Well, maybe they were there at one time, but then they decided, I'll put you all in the shade again. And then they decided, you know what, let's go for a walk outside the fence. So we're like, okay, you know, where did they go? You know, by the time we came out later on to look for them, where did they go? Here's another thing, you all. The kids were very fussy when they got here. And she decides to tell us, oh, it's because my husband's sister is in town. She's been in town for about a month, and she had tickets for us to go to the zoo. So we all just got back from the zoo. So we're really tired. Okay, and you couldn't call us in advance and tell us, hey, can we do this another day? Because the kids are really tired. And the kids, you all, were filthy. They were dirty, they were sweaty, they were sticky. I know they were uncomfortable. The toddler's hands were black, filthy black. And the kid is whiter than I am. Actually, I'm not really white. I'm more like a caramel macchiato. And you know what I mean by that? Like, this is white, this is caramel. Light caramel. I'm a caramel macchiato. So, he is white. He's like Edward from Twilight white. Okay? So, his little hands were black. And I kept telling him, toddler, let's go wash your hands, okay? They're very dirty. We're holding hands. They're sticky and dirty and grindy. Let's go wash your hands. No. I'm like, yes, you know, you can't eat with your hands like that. No. So I said, Grandpa, can you help me please with your grandchild so we can wash his hands? And Grandpa's like, yeah, let's go wash your hands. No. So we didn't get to wash his hands. And all the mom did was laugh. Okay. So that happened, right? And we're wondering, why are you here if the kids are not feeling well? Why are you here? They're tired more than they are hungry. Well, the baby's not going to eat, not the infant, but the toddler, you know, they're tired more than they are hungry and they want to go home. I'm pretty sure they want to be in their own home, in their own bed after a good shower and just relax the rest of the day. No, you bring them here at the end of the day. So, anyhow, that's when I walked to the back. Her and I were looking for her husband. That's when I walked to the back, and that's when I ran into the neighbor, okay? And that's when I asked, that's when he came up to me, he's like, can I help you with something? And that's when I was telling him about it. No, these are the neighbors. His car is not here. He parks next to that gray car. They park right here next to me. There is my faucet. That's where she was trying to get water, okay? My apartment, right here. I don't want to really show everything, but, oh, crap. I just gave the number out. My apartment right there, right? So, I came to my car. My car's right here. This is where I park. The husband parks right next door, you know? So, like I said, it didn't bother me. I kind of figured what was going on. It didn't bother me. I was in a hurry. I'm not going to make a big deal about it. But this guy spoke to me that way, so of course it pisses me off. Anyhow, back to the cherry on top of that Friday. They leave. I'm disgusted beyond belief because of everything that was already going on that day. And the hubby and I are still going at it again. You know, it was just a really bad day. I don't know what was going on, but it was really bad. And plus, I was going over our finances and I said, are we still going to be able to like even enjoy our Valentine's Day? Because, hey, this is an unexpected expense. And of course he starts yelling and like, don't worry about it. I have money to take you out. And I'm like, it's not even about that. It's the fact that why does your daughter always come first in our relationship? I know you're trying to make up for lost time. But she needs to understand you have somebody in your life. I've been with you for 13 years and she understands that very clearly. Her husband should be providing for her, not you. You're not her husband. You are her dad. You come in as a grandpa for the kids. You get for the kids what they need when you can. But no, she does not come first. And she needs to know that. Anyhow, we're finally calmed down. Take our showers. We're laying in bed. He's scrolling through his phone. I'm scrolling through my phone. Then all of a sudden she sends me a text message. And I'm like, fabulous. And you know what she says in the text message? Oh, just letting you know that you may not want to eat that leftover chicken because as soon as we got home, I started throwing up. I threw up 3 times already and I've had diarrhea. What? And I start freaking out because I'm like, oh my God, there's something wrong with that chicken. I ate that chicken. The husband ate that chicken. But we were fine. I did have a little tummy ache, but that's expected because whenever we get that chicken from that place, they cook it in so much grease. My stomach always hurts afterwards. But the husband loves that place, so that's why we got it from there. But anyway, yeah, we were fine. And I was just like, but the kids and the husband, your husband, ate the same chicken, and are they feeling sick? And she's like, no, they had the tenders. They didn't eat the chicken for the bone. That's the one I got sick from. And I was just like, what? I said, well, we ate from there. Your dad and I ate from there, and we're fine. And so here I am thinking, like, please don't start feeling sick. You know, telling myself that, like, please don't start feeling sick because I don't want to feel sick. It's the day before Valentine's, you know? So anyhow, I finally just tell her, well, I'm sorry that you're feeling sick. Maybe it was something else that you ate. Maybe you were just tired, and maybe you were not in the mood for that chicken. So then she texts me back later, and she's like, she texts me back the next morning, and she says, I guess you were right. It wasn't the chicken. Maybe it was something else that I ate because I feel better now. But my mother-in-law's coming to help me with the kids anyway. So after we feed them, put up with all their crap. Oh yeah, I guess you were right. Wow. That was my weekend, you all. Saturday made up for it though. Saturday didn't start very well with the husband and I, but then it got better. We were able to go to our favorite restaurant. I keep telling myself I need to leave them a review because they did so good. We went to that restaurant, our favorite restaurant. There was a 2-hour wait, despite that we did check in online before we took off. There was still another additional 2 hours waiting. It may be like 15 minutes extra, you know, like 2 hours and 15 minutes. But anyway, it was well worth the wait. The food was so good. However, we're not used to eating that late. We took off like close to 6. That's when I made that we were gonna like eat there. It's not really a reservation, but that's when we actually checked in, that we were there in person. And we didn't get called in until like close to 8 o'clock, and that's when we got our food as well, like around 8:30ish. So it was kind of late for us. We're very early when we eat. The latest we'll eat is 6. But anyhow, the food was so good. The drinks were so good. Like, everybody was on their A game that day, and I really appreciate that, and that's what I'm going to put on the review. But anyhow, things went well. Sunday came along, you know, went to church, for the exception of that neighbor that I said that came to spit over here. But things were going very well, you know, and a lot better. I went to go see my dad, left him some flowers. I wish we could have spent a longer time there with him, but the husband was ready to come back already. I saw him pacing. I was like, okay, we'll leave. And then when we were leaving, there's like a canal there, and there were turtles. However, we couldn't get down to go see them because I think it's like a private property for the city or something, and I'm sure somebody would have called the cops if they would have seen anybody near there. So I'm like, I'll spare myself, you know, the shame and just admire them from afar. And I didn't get to take pictures of them, but they were all along there. A whole bunch of little turtles. I was like, oh, that's so cool. It's not like I've never seen a turtle before, but I hadn't seen one in a long time. So that was really cool for me. And then when did the husband leave? He left Tuesday, which was yesterday morning. Wow. I don't know what day I think this is today, but he just left yesterday. And needless to say, right now when I was talking to the neighbor, she was telling me that her dog had gotten sick, and she took him to the vet, and then it turns out that all the blood work came out good. And I said, oh, you were just wanting some attention, weren't you? You know, I said, you didn't want your mom to go out of town, because apparently she had booked a room at the island that was non-refundable, so she lost $80 on that room. And I was like, oh man, I said, I think he was probably upset with you because he probably wanted to be your plus one and you were going to leave him behind. Because she was taking one of her friends, the friend that she went to with on a cruise or whatever, you know, she had invited her to go. And I said, so he was just being naughty. He just wanted to be spoiled and naughty. And she was like, yep. And he was just kissing me the entire time. And I was like, oh. And anyhow, that's what she says. I told her, I said, oh, well, I'll let you go so you can get back to work, you know. And she's like, okay, we'll come back later and say hello again. And I'm like, it's all right. You don't have to. Really, you don't have to. But I didn't tell her that. Hopefully she won't come. Please. Like, I just want to be left alone for the rest of the day, honestly. Because, like I said, I'm dealing with some health issues right now. Right now, I'm actually, like, not even feeling good. I've been having some cramping in my lower abdomen area. I don't like what's going on. I've been to the gyno I don't know how many times already. And they keep giving me this medication and that medication and poking me and prodding me, you know. And they just don't find an exact solution. You know, and I'm taking all these other supplements. It's just a mess. It's just a whole mess that I'm not really happy about. And I hate these problems, these women problems, you know. And I need to call them too because the stupid patch. A little side note, in case you all want to know, the patch, they increased my estradiol patch, and that patch was huge. It's a huge circle, like that big around. I'm not kidding you. It didn't want to stay on me. It stayed on me for like the first day, the second day, it starts to peel, the third day, it's completely off. So I went back to the lower dosage because the lower dosage is a clear patch. It's a tiny clear patch like that big, and it'll stay on me. And I'm like, well, I want to get something rather than nothing, you know? But I do need to contact them and let them know, like, y'all are going to have to, like, try to order me some patches that are smaller with a higher dosage, maybe the same company, because those other patches did not work. They're not working, you know? And the doctor recommended that I buy medical tape. And I was just like, what? That's more irritating to the skin. Like, that's crazy. Like, get them from another manufacturer, woman. You know? Yes, I said woman, because she is a woman. But anyway, I don't know. So I'm like trying to debate within myself, like, should I keep going to her or should I go to another gyno and get another opinion? Because I haven't been feeling good since November. Okay, so this has been going on since November, so I'm getting really fed up and tired with it, and I'm at my wit's ends with it. But anyhow, I don't even know what to title this video. I'll have to go think about it. Tonight, I do want to talk about a different topic. I was going to talk about it last night, but I wasn't feeling very well, and I was just like, I don't think I'm going to bring that up. I don't think so. I was listening to a live, though. I like to watch this man a lot, and he was talking about how some women make fathers pay for child support, and some of the kids are not even theirs, but they don't tell them until after the age of 18. That actually happened to the husband. When I say the husband, I mean my husband. And I was like, yeah, that's not good. And I think, you know, when something like that happens, I think men should have the right to get their money back from the person that made him think this was their child. In his case, he was married. He had his first baby, right? Then they had another baby, supposedly, but later it was found out that it wasn't really his until after he graduated from the Air Force. They both went into the Air Force. Let me clarify that. When they had their graduation from the Air Force, the other set of grandparents showed up. And so my husband's parents were like, I'm sorry, how do you know the kids? You know, we've never met before. And they're like, we're the grandparents. And they're like, you're whose grandparents? And then they name the second child. We're his grandparents. And they're like, what? We've never met you before, though. How is that? How are you his grandparents? And that's how they found out the wife cheated on my husband when they were married at the time and had this baby. Well, the husband, of course, decides, well, he's mine now. Too bad, so sad. He's mine. I understand where my husband's coming from. However, I think it was really a shitty thing to do to have him pay child support for 2 kids when it should have just been 1. Why didn't she go after that guy? Maybe that guy split. Maybe that guy didn't have any money. Maybe he was like not going to pay. Or maybe she just did what my mom did to me in my case, which was she had 4 kids. I was the 5th, the last kid that she had, the youngest. And she told my dad that I was his when I was actually conceived by another man that she was having an affair with. So, of course, my dad loved me to death. He thought I was his. She didn't want to tell him the truth. And I think this is what this lady did. However, my dad passed away when I was 6. My mother had no intention of telling my dad that I was not his. He would have never, ever known unless there was a life and death situation with me and he was still alive. Then that would have been brought up, right? But this lady had plenty of opportunity to let my husband know, hey, I need to tell you something. He's not, this and this and that happened, but she never did. So he either needs to go after her for this money or go after both, her and the real dad. I don't even think the second child even knows the truth. I think he was oblivious to it this entire time. He may never know the truth. She may tell him on her deathbed. My mom didn't tell me on my deathbed. I found out through another relative, a reliable source, mind you. And my brothers and my sister confirmed. And so did an aunt. But, it's really sad when you're like later on in life thinking this entire time you were part of a family just to find out what? I had another family that I never knew about? So I could have some stepbrothers and sisters out there that I've never met before, or maybe we've run into each other and I don't even know we're related. That's really creepy. It's really creepy. So I don't know, this video became dark all of a sudden, but that's really creepy. So please, mothers, don't lie to your children. Don't lie to the fathers. Be honest. Tell the truth. Enough said already. I don't know if I'm gonna upload the first part because it was only 10 minutes. I don't even remember what I was talking about, but this second part, I think it's way worth it. But anyhow, love you all. I will see you all tonight. Bye.